Buddy White. Did you see my statistics?
Good morning.
Did you see my statistics?
Good morning. I call this meeting of the Lake Mary Toastmasters Club 6440 to order. Before we proceed, please silence your cell phones. And I would like to ask everyone to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by one silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Our club mission is to provide a supportive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster for today, Ernst U.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, and we have a couple of guests this morning. That is great. We had to do a few changes in assignments. The last minute, Martin Bell was so gracious to do the Evaluator number 2.
Way to step it up. Way to step it up.
Other than that, we have everybody here. That is great. Today's theme is resilience, a new strength in times of stress. I have a great book here, which I highly recommend you to read. This book was written by Frederick Flack, an MD in 1988. He's passed away. He was a psychiatrist and author. He graduated from Cornell University Medical College, where he served as an adjunct associate professor of psychiatry. He was an attending psychiatrist at Payne Whitley Clinic in New York and St. Vincent's Hospital Medical Center, where he addressed the subject of stress and how to deal with it. The definition of resilience is the power or ability to return to the original form, position after being bent, compressed, stretched. The ability to recover readily from illness, depression, adversity, or the like. Having buoyancy. Dr. Flack says there's no escaping stress. It appears on the doorstep uninvited through death of a loved one, divorce, job loss, foreclosures, losses of business, illnesses, and many other forms. How we deal with these adversities and learning how to develop resilience will help us to recover faster, or in many instances, if we don't learn it, do not learn it, it will take much longer, or some will never recover. Okay, I'd like to now introduce the technical table, starting with the grammarian, Lamar Richards.
Good morning. So as grammarian, my function is to select the word of the day to help members build their vocabulary. Each member, when called upon to speak, is encouraged to use the word of the day. Other members may gently rap on the table when they hear a member use the word. Today's word is happiness, which means joy and bliss. So it brings me great happiness to be here this morning. In addition, I'll be listening for any errors in grammar or excellent word selection. I'll also be noting any colorful thoughts or phrases members might use. During the evaluation process of the meeting, I will present my report.
Thank you very much. Starting on the timer, Sam Bailey. Explain.
Good morning. As timer, my function is to time the speakers, evaluators, and table topic participants to ensure they meet the time requirements. I will demonstrate the timing lights, which will be displayed as following. Speakers at 5, green, table topics 30 seconds, evaluators 2 minutes, yellow for speakers 6 minutes, table topics 45 seconds, evaluators 2.5 minutes, red, speakers 7 minutes, table topics 1 minute, evaluators 3 minutes, and if you reach 7.5, I'll pull a mic and throw this at you. Table topics 1.5 minutes, you'll also get this thrown at you, and evaluators 3.5 minutes. At the end of each segment, I will report the time results.
Next, I'd like to introduce our counter, Stephen Morgan.
I'm still counting. And as I counted this morning, I am to be listening to any of those little verbal clutches that you may be using, whether they be ahs, ums, you knows, likes. Bridge words were essentially conjunctions beginning new phrases, and, but, so, because, well. I'll also hear any tongue clicks, any pregnant pauses, any double clutches, taking notes of these to provide to the general evaluator my counts at the end of the meeting. 5 cents each. Hope you brought your money.
Thank you.
Toastmaster.
Next, I'd like to introduce our prepared speakers. First is Jessica Reschke. She will speak from the Competent Communicators Manual. Lesson number 10, inspire your audience. Run to not away from your fears. Run to, not away from your fears. Jessica, I'm sorry.
And with that, I'd just like to leave you with this quote. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the mastery of fear. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Our next speaker,
Give us a minute.
1 minute on clock.
sorry, 1 minute on the clock. Okay, our next speaker, speaking from the Competent Communicators Manual, number 7, Competent Leadership Manual, I'm sorry to say. Research your topic, why it is sexist towards men, Rich Massa.
Leave this up here. I'll be teaching today. Give me liberty or give me death. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow members and guests, of course I'm speaking of the injustice of this holiday, the sexist holiday called Valentine's Day. What I like to call it, Single Awareness Day. Today I'm going to be reviewing the injustice that men have to go through with this heinous of holidays coming up. I'm going to define what Valentine's Day is, what sexism is, and what discrimination is. I'm going to teach you statistical data of how men and women view Valentine's Day. Then, I'm going to show you the marketing and the gifts traditionally that men and women receive on this heinous of holidays, and it needs to be stopped. Valentine's Day is most commonly observed on February 14th, and is traditionally when couples show love to each other by exchanging gifts, flowers, and cards. Notice I said couples showing love to each other with gifts, flowers, and cards. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines sexism as prejudice or discrimination based on sex. But what does discrimination mean? Discrimination is the unjust and prejudicial treatment of different categories of people, things, especially on the grounds of race, sex, and age. What does this have to do with Valentine's Day? Well, I'm going to show you. According to Men's Health, they did a survey of how men and women view Valentine's Day. And they asked them questions. Who is supposed to plan Valentine's Day? 30.3% of women said the guy. 1.6% said the woman. 68.1% said the couple should plan it. Now, men was asked the same question. 56.9% said the guy, 4.5% said the woman, 38% said the couple should plan it together. So please keep a note of that. Write that down if you have to. Because who is supposed to pay for Valentine's Day? 40% of women said the man should pay. A whopping 0.4, not 4, 0.4% of women said the woman should pay. Now this surprised me actually. 34.4% said whoever planned the night. Whoever plans the night, ladies and gentlemen. Men was asked the same question. 71.7% said the man should pay for it. 0.9% said the woman. 11% said the couple should split the cost, and 16% said whoever plans the night. Now here's the kicker. Which best describes how you feel about Valentine's Day? Women, 45.3% stated that it is just a Hallmark holiday. 54% said it's just another way to show my love, I love it. Now let's review the men. Men was asked the same question. How do you feel about Valentine's Day? 61.9% considers it a Hallmark holiday. And only 38% say I love it, it's just another way to show my love. Ladies and gentlemen, almost 2/3 of men just view it as a Hallmark holiday, yet the pressure is on us to pay for it and to plan it, and we don't care about it. Now you notice how the men are being very quiet right now. I'm going to prove and drive it home with the traditional gifts. First, let's go over the first gift, the traditional gifts of men and women and the marketing. Roses on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, not gay. But Valentine's Day, that's okay if you guys celebrate in that fashion too. On Valentine's Day, roses go from $30 to $50. Let's look at the commercials. Victoria's Secret puts in their commercials that if you buy this expensive lingerie for your female, you might get sex. If that is not stereotyped toward this heinous holiday, that men only want sex and we don't have feelings too. And I don't know what injustice is. Let's look at the commercials of every kiss begins with K. Now we have to buy diamonds on Valentine's Day? I thought this was a couple's holiday. And then we all know that commercial where the husband or the boyfriend covers his significant other's eyes and they bring him outside and they see a brand new Lexus with a red bow on top. The base model Lexus, ladies and gentlemen, is $32,000. And that's for the cheap one. Let's see what men get, shall we? The traditional gift for men is a watch. Average price spent, $52. Shoes is yet another traditional gift. A tie and razors. Is this not inequality? Let's review what discrimination is: the unjust prejudicial treatment toward a sex. And that means it is unequal, and I say we get rid of it. I say this injustice cannot carry on, that the couples need to be equal. And based on my research I've showed you, I've defined what Valentine's Day is. I've shown you statistical data from a very credible source called Men's Health. That men don't even care about Valentine's Day, yet we are pressured to plan it and to pay for it. And the gifts that we receive, the average man spends $116 on Valentine's Day and gives it to the female, all of it. Yet the average female spends $77 and spreads the love towards everyone. Men don't even get that whole $77. Ladies and gentlemen, if I have not shown to you with my data that this is an unjust, unequal holiday, then I just don't believe there's justice on this planet anymore. Mr. Toastmaster Tidbit.
Timer, 1 minute, please.
Stand in front of the flag like you feel I want to see his picture on the wall.
If you run for president, I'll vote for you.
I'll tell your girlfriend that I'm available this Saturday.
That will be his whole platform, apparently.
You promised to dismantle the hallmark. Brick by brick.
Well, that was quick.
How do you get comments on that?
You just laugh.
Rich, I think you're wonderful.
Okay, thank you. Rich, all I say, no Valentine's gift, no happiness.
This proves my point, ladies and gentlemen.
Our speaker number 3, our final speaker this morning is Julia Kaufman. Julia will talk to you this morning about her experience with caring for her father. Please welcome Julia Kaufman.
There comes a time in your life, for many of us, when we become the caregiver to our parents. When that happens, there's a paradigm shift between that relation between parent and child. It is a total role reversal. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I'd like to share a personal story with you about this new role that I find myself in. But before I start, I need to give you some background information. My father is 82. His wife, my mother, passed away 2 years ago. He has 4 children. I'm the youngest and live nearby him. My siblings live out of state. He has 10 grandchildren. All of them call him Cool Pops. 4 of his granddaughters live in Florida, one's a nurse. I would consider my family to be typical. We laugh, we cry, we joke, we argue. And while we're spread across the country, we're tight. My dad is the icon of the family. He is that go-to person. So I think I've got the stage set. I get a call one evening from my father, and he says, I have a problem. I said, what's the problem, Dad? He says, I can't pee. I said, oh. I wasn't sure what to say to that. I said, well, have you drank enough water? Give it some time? He says, no, you don't understand. When I go, it hurts, and there's blood. I said, hold on, Dad, say no more. I'm going to come over, take you to the hospital. On the way over there, I called my niece Courtney. I said, Courtney, it's your Aunt Julie. It's Cool Pops. He has a problem with his wiener. I don't know, but he's in pain. He can't pee and there's blood. Meet me at the hospital. We get to the hospital. They take us back to the exam room. And if you're not familiar with the emergency room, these rooms are really compact. Consists of a bed, a chair, and a table. There's a rod around the bed for a curtain to be drawn for privacy. A male nurse comes in, and he asks to understand what the problem is. My dad begins to say, I have a problem with my walker. The nurse listens intently and says, well, let's take a look. So he draws the curtain, and he starts his exam. And after a couple minutes, he says, well, Mr. Gaslin, I see the problem. He says, you don't have a Whopper, you have a Whopper Jr. Really crack up. I know he's in good hands, it's a male nurse, and he's going to take care of the problem. My anxiety starts lowering because he's got a good sense of humor and everything's going to be okay. We learned my dad has an enlarged prostate. And in order to fix that, they need to insert a catheter. If you're not familiar with a catheter, it consists of a bag and a long rubber hose that gets inserted. And as you can imagine, the men in the room, it's particularly painful. So the male nurse draws the curtain and begins the procedure. And as he begins, I hear my dad in pain. Now, never in my entire life have I heard my dad in pain. Ever, ever, ever. I've heard him, when he gets hurt, swear up a storm and back down again. He's a sailor. I admit that. But I've never heard him in pain. And as I heard him in pain, I started getting the sweats and feeling nauseous. And the room begins to start spinning on me. And about that time, the male nurse looks over and sees me white as a ghost and says to my niece, "You take care of your aunt and I'll take care of your grandfather." So she gets me to the bathroom where I do proceed to get ill. Today, my dad is fine. Everything is in good working order. I'm fine too. The trauma of talking about my dad's penis. And I know the next time that my dad has a problem, I will be by his side, ready to be his caregiver. Mr. Jorge.
Mr. Timer, 1 minute, please. Thank you. Now is the part of the meeting where everybody is looking forward to, because we can speak about subjects we don't know anything about. And I'm calling Juliana Debler here for being the Table Topics Master.
Resilience, a new strength at time of stress. Stress. Just the thought about it, I'm sure, is bringing you to the edge of your seats. Or maybe some of you are being filled with happiness at the thought of it. But whatever it is, stress is a unique feeling, and each of us react to it differently. Stress can bring out the worst in us, or it can bring out the best. Hadi, describe a stressful situation that you did not handle properly.
All of them. Thank you, Madam Table Topic Master. I would joke and say the stressful situation is this right now. But the truth is, I can think of an extremely stressful situation. When I was in my PhD program, working on a research paper, the stress that occurred in my mind was, if I don't do well in this paper, I get kicked out of the program. If I get kicked out of the program, I leave the country. If I leave the country, I leave my poor elderly parents who, in my mind, could not live without me. And I go to a country that I barely know. And yeah, I'm pretty much screwed. So the way I handled that was basically to stress over and over, grow the problem in my mind, and do absolutely nothing productive in terms of working on my paper. Thank you.
There are different events in our life that can trigger stress. Stephany, suppose you had just lost $10,000 in the last hour at blackjack. Today's not your lucky day. You walk out of the casino and you have $50 left in your pocket. How do you make the best out of that situation?
Let me get this straight. I
I went from 10 grand to $50.
And only $50 left in your pocket.
Well, being too old for the pole and too big for the I think that I would take off one of my famous hats that I usually have on or around me, sit it down on the ground and just start performing on the street like I see them do in New York and New Orleans and whatnot, and just try to get some money. I have nothing to lose at that point. Madam Toastmaster.
Sometimes we don't need to travel to Vegas. Stress hits us at home. Gus, suppose your neighbor runs over your beloved dog, Fife. You're very upset and you're stressed out about the whole situation. You have two options. Do you sue your neighbor for every last penny, or do you forgive your neighbor and buy yourself a new dog and move on?
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I would want to bring happiness in the situation. And the way I would do that, I would feel so sad because I love animals, that the dog is dead, but I would not want to hurt my neighbor. Therefore, I would go out and try to adopt another dog. And I will adopt that dog and name it my neighbor. Maybe that would bring me
Mike, your doctor diagnoses you with disease X and tells you you must reduce your stress in order to improve your overall well-being and to overcome this disease. He gives you two options, which you must do on a daily basis. Ballet with your hot coworker, or meditation with Jehovah's Witnesses.
That is an obvious question. I would clearly do ballet with a hot coworker. And then come Valentine's Day would be a whole other story. But it is a great question though. Reducing stress. Does the stress of being doing ballet next to a hot coworker cause more stress? Or does it relieve me? Does she relieve me? Does she relieve my stress? No, gross.
Happiness and bliss is what we are all looking for, I hope. And Dr. Flack wrote from the prisoners of war camps to divorce courts, from the hospital beds of someone who you love and is dying, to the playing fields where you reach out breathlessly for the will to win. He believes the most vital ingredients in developing resilience is faith. For some, faith will exist within the framework of a formal religion. For others, it lies in the deepest level of our unconscious mind, in touch with our external truth. Faith is what makes one resilient, keeps people going and winning, recovering and overcoming. Resilient is when you live by the words of Winston Churchill, who says, never, never, never give up. I'm now calling on our general evaluator, Jorge Frigolas.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
It's been a while since I've done this. You know how this goes. This is the educational portion of the meeting. This is where we hear feedback from our peers on all the good things and all the places we might need some improvement on. And not only that, but it gives them the opportunity to work on their kind of off-the-cuff speaking skills by having to come up with an evaluation to evaluate you 2 to 3 minutes in what, 5 to 10 minutes since that speech has happened. So practice all around, giving everybody lots of good feedback. So I'm just going to dive right into it here with evaluator number 1. We have Hadi, which is evaluating Jessica's speech this morning. Run to, not away from your fears. Hadi, evaluator number 1.
Gives me great happiness to be here today. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, sorry, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and especially Jessica. The purpose of this speech is to inspire the audience and to rely heavily on emotional appeal. Now, Jessica, I loved the uniqueness of your approach. If I were to imagine inspiring an audience, I would think of Les Brown and rah, 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 rah. But your demeanor was extremely calm, yet very effective, and I loved it. I love the use of your personal stories, stories of your friends, not necessarily great people who've done great things, although in their own way, they were all great people, including you facing your fear of public speaking. And it just reminds us all that ordinary people can do great things all the time. You gave us stories that we could all relate to. For example, public speaking, dealing with debt, admitting something that we may need help with. And you reminded us, as I mentioned, that everyday people can step into their courage and face their fears. I love the use of your quote, "Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the mastery of fear." And I thought that your voice added to your ability to touch us emotionally. In terms of things that I thought you could improve, just more movement around the room. So in the beginning, I saw that you stood here for a while, but then you realized it, and you decided to come to the other side. Lastly, I would like to finish by saying the speech was friggin' hilarious. Thank you.
Next up with our second evaluation, we have Martin Bell stepping in today to evaluate Rich Massa's speech, Why It Is Sexist Towards Men.
Remember, last week I came in early. It was a mistake because I then turned into just from an audience member to do an evaluator. So I figured, let me get here today as late as possible. See what happens. So, but it's with great happiness I turned out I'm evaluating Rich for the second time. And when I first walked in and I saw the title of the speech, I was thinking, well, what's he going to talk about? And I'm thinking, well, he's probably going to talk about how men are better drivers than women. but then he said, give me liberty or give me death. And I said, well, maybe he's going to talk about how men just vote better than women. Right? Or something like that. So yeah, I'm going to show. But then he talked about, made it very relevant, Valentine's Day. And it's coming up, and obviously there's a lot of angst in the room. But he is available on Saturday. Yeah. So the goal of the research is to fill gaps of existing knowledge with facts. And did Rich support his argument with a lot of facts? I think so, right? We can all agree, we were all laughing, we're all having a good time. He came out with a dictionary, right? Came out with surveys. He came out with statistics. I particularly like the fact that Rich goes into that first decimal point, right? 4.6% of 100 women. It's like 4 of a woman and like a half of another one. Winning the Prices of Roses, commercials that we've probably all seen. Probably half the room loves these commercials, the other half hates these commercials, right? So, did he use a variety of research? Yeah, I think he completed the goal very well. I could hear by just the laughter in the room, everybody was on board, and he just supported his point very well. I love the use of vocal variety, the pauses, and then just your terminology, you know, the injustice, this can't go on. I mean, he was speaking from a higher mountain all morning. It was very convincing. And I think, if I'm not mistaken here, that 98.6% of the women do agree with Rich, right? That this is just an injustice holiday.
They're real quiet.
All right, great. Just in terms of perhaps one idea to suggest, I mean, you did a fantastic job. You might want to ask a specific audience member, if you're comfortable with it, maybe like ask a lady, hey, what's your thought on this particular thing? And then maybe go over here to a guy and ask, hey, what do you think about that? And then just use that to support your facts. I don't think you needed to. You did such a fantastic job. Everybody's having a great time. So I'd love to hear your next speech on sexism. Thanks, everybody.
For Evaluator 3, today we have Stephany B evaluating Julia Kaufman's speech, Make Them Laugh. Stephany
Julia. I happen to have met Julia's dad a few times, and does he know you're telling this story, Julia? Because I'm going to let him know. Oh, boy. This is the entertaining speech manual. I didn't quite get the title, but it's Make Them Laugh. And you're telling from your own personal stories and anecdotes, pulling it all together to entertain us. And one of the quests of the speaker is to not to laugh. And she did a terrific job of that. Julia delivered this like in deadpan fashion. I struggled with it for the first minute, trying to see how is she going to take such an unfunny topic and find humor in that. Poor dad's equipment wasn't working properly. But when she came out with all of these various names for it, and that final one, when you actually said the P word, you had me. You delivered this as a short but very well-developed story. You set up your family, told us what it consists of, who there were, who the players were, the main players that we needed to know about this. At first you seemed not too comfortable with it because there was more than your usual pacing and back and forth, and that's not usually Julia. And I'm struggling, where is she going with this? This is a touchy, sensitive subject. But when you got that story rolling, it was very funny. What I like best about this story is that you took a subject that is relatable and real. The fact that many of us will have to care for our parents as they grow older. And you found a way to find humor, even in a medical situation. And if you can find humor in these type of things, you can handle almost anything. Stress is reduced. You can live with it. You're damn happy to hear that your dad's okay, it's going well, screaming along there. Julia, this was funny. It was a sensitive subject, but you handled it with such a calm that, what could I say, that was typical Julia, and I enjoyed it.
You know what gives me stress is hearing about catheters. Here.
Having done them.
To reach for my Tums, which is I usually take when I feel stressed, even though it's probably just a placebo effect. I don't think it does anything. Either that or I just have an ulcer. I'm too afraid to go to the doctor because that causes stress. At this time, we're going to check in with our technical table to see how our speakers did in various areas. So I'm going to start out with Lamar Richards today, who's going to give us the grammarian report.
Good at grammar in school. I was an English teacher and I gave her my paper to correct. But I did catch a few things. Shopaholic, Jessica, I guess that's a word. I'm a girlfriend shopaholic, so I'll call her that too. But grammatically, I guess. But you did do some great phrases. Sticking your head in the sand like ostrich. That was fantastic. Also, running a marathon on a broken leg. Great picture. Rich. Heinous holiday, loved it. I bought a dinner and a movie ticket to Circus Delay, so it's kind of like, yeah, I'm hurting right now. Julia, white as a ghost. Great picture. Stephany, too old for the pole, too hot for the streets. That was fantastic. And Hadi freaking hilarious, I guess. But that's all I have.
Next on to give the timer report, we have Sam Bailey.
Well, it stirs a lot of happiness in me that I don't have to do his job again. But Jessica, you had 5 minutes and 45 seconds. However, that was the longest 5 minutes and 45 seconds that I've seen. So I think there was something wrong with this. So please don't quote me on that one. Yes, probably 7:45 would be closer. Rich, I know this one is correct. 6:12, and you were within your time. Julia, 4:58. So you were just 2 seconds there, but who cares about the 2 seconds? Hadi, 2:35. Martin, 2:55, and Stephany, 2:29. And that is my report.
And next up with the odd counter report, we have Steve Morgan.
To share the happiness for everybody. Ernst, I heard 3. I can just give totals here. Lamar 13, Sam 2, Jessica 11, Rich 9, Julia 2, Juliana 1, Hadi 17. Jeez. Stephany 4, Gus 1, Mike did not hear any, Jorge 3, Martin 25.
Oh,
Mr. General.
treasurer, so
This time I'm just going to give my general comments about the meeting. We did start on time. The room was set up beautifully. We had a packed house today, lots of happiness in the room this morning. I'm going to comment on myself. I think I went backwards when I was referring to the technical table. I don't know if there's an order or not, but I think we usually start out with the odd counter and then end up with a commarium. No? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever makes you happy.
I think I hear At this point, I think I'm going to pass it over to Stephen, who's going to be stepping in for Erica today to conduct our club business.
For anyone who's got a few extra bucks, you can probably maybe claim a few more by the time we're done here. We'd like to ask our guests what they thought of the meeting, what brought you here. Hopefully we haven't scared you away and you want to come back. We'll begin over here with Shane, is it right? You stand up, tell us what you thought of the meeting.
I wasn't really sure what, is he marking my?
Yes.
I wasn't really sure what to expect. I saw Rich is a good friend of mine. He posted that he was going to be talking about the sexism of Valentine's Day, and I had to hear it. I enjoyed the experience overall. Everybody is great speakers. It's clear that people come in here, they work on something they are maybe not good at or want to get better at, and I always appreciate hard work, and I can see that you guys take it pretty seriously, and overall I had a great time.
Kevin, what did you think?
Good morning, everyone. One of my biggest fears is public speaking. So seeing people tackle my biggest fear with such ferocity is actually something that inspired me today. So I'm excited. Erica invited me to come. She's been good friends for a while, and she's seen me kind of my transition for the past 2 years. So she wanted to kind of help me and mentor me. So I'm really appreciative of that opportunity, and I really want to come back. I learned from all the speakers, and I'm really appreciative of Valentine's speech. That really touched me.
I'm glad I'm bringing awareness to this atrocity.
We must continue proclaiming it. But overall, I could relate to my father has Parkinson's, just recently diagnosed, so I'm going with that. I'm taking care of my father. And again, my fear is public speaking, so I tell you to relate. And I just thank you for everybody very welcoming this morning, so thank you.
I'm sure both of you will be accosted by our Vice President membership before long. But in fact, I need to be inviting Gus up at this point because in 2 weeks we will be having our club's contest, beginning the contest cycle for the Table Topics Contest and the International Speech Contest. He is our contest chair and he is here to draft you all.
Stephen gave me a little bit of stress when I said today, I am going to have all of you commit before you leave. He said that would change also. The contest is on the 24th. We start at 7 a.m. So don't plan to be here at 7:30. You will be late. We'll start at 7 a.m. So please arrive. Those who will be participating, you need to arrive at least when the doors are open. 6:30?
Yes, they open.
6:30, they open at 6:30. We'll set up. We have a contest master for that day, and who's that? Gary. I'm going to quickly go through those who have volunteered, and if your name is not there, I really need you, one here, or also to broadcast it outside to the other clubs. The speakers we have so far, Hadi, Stephen, Rich, they're both doing the table topics, and also we're doing the international speech contest. So we have those two. Some of you have great stories or great speeches you can give. And you also signed up, right? Jorge? Table topics.
Yeah, you did.
Right, you did. We need Sergeant at Arms. Mike?
No, Alex is going to do the speech.
Mike's going to speak. Yeah.
Oh,
Have you gotten 6 speeches done?
yeah, the qualification is that you should, for the table topic context.
No, table topics just need to be a member.
Anyone.
International speech, you have to have
6. Have you done speech number 6? Yeah, Mike.
6 speeches, period.
Three more speeches next week.
Mike, I think check your book to be able to do that. We need 2 sergeants at arms for that day.
I'll be one.
Laurie, you're just doing very well. And we've already got the chief judge, and she will be inviting other people to be judges. Our chief judge will be Julia. Stephany, are you speaking?
I might.
I might.
Yes.
I might.
Yes.
And we need ballot counters also. Jessica. Now, and I need a timer for that day. Who knows that? 2 timers. 2 timers.
Two-timer you.
2 timers.
I can time, I just need some education on it.
All right, I will give
You'll be
you.
taught.
Yeah, you'll be taught.
From
Timer
Sam,
will
he has his 5 minutes.
be Julia,
I can do something.
right?
That's why you have 2.
2 sergeants of arms, both of you sitting over there. Cool. Now, with Julia, Stephen, and Stephany, am I leaving anything out that I need to?
I'd like to have it
Got
done.
it covered.
All right. Okay. 7 a.m. on the 24th. Thank you, Stephen.
It will be lots of fun. Tell people to come and see. Next week, though, we have a different schedule set up. Lori, are you still doing Sergeant at Arms for next week?
Sure.
Okay. Hadi is our scheduled Toastmaster.
Yes.
For speakers, we have Macarena doing her icebreaker. Jeff is scheduled, and it looks like Stephany now has replaced Ernst. Okay.
I put it on the thing, easy speak.
All right. Table topics, Rich Massa is Table Topics Master. General Evaluator, Gus. Yes, Rich, I'm sure will be telling us more about Evaluators, Lori. We have Paul listed and Nicole. You two okay? Evaluators next week.
Yes.
The odd counter is currently open. Grammarian, Mike.
Sure.
And timer, Jessica. Anyone want to take that odd counter spot?
I take it.
Ernst, all right. And after that,